It's yet another Saturday from Nigeria's capital city. This is live from Abuja.
A show that takes you through the events that have shaped the week in Nigeria and across the world, from politics, news, entertainment, and sport. Hello and welcome. I am Ademola Lawrence.
I am Jane Francis Mweze.
I will start from the protest that got held today. Let us begin with an update on the 10-day nationwide protest in Nigeria, which hopefully ends today after several concerned things that have happened that are in the days during the protests, which took place during the nationwide protest.
And as normalcy returns to most parts of the country with the easing of curfews, the reopening of businesses and offices, mixed reactions have trailed the aftermath of the events that unfolded and the president's speech on Sunday.
While some Nigerians urge citizens to give the administration more time for the president to work on his promises to provide what the people need, others remain indifferent about the ongoing situation.
Okay, in his speech, President Bola Tinubu acknowledged that Nigerians aspire to be in a country where their dreams can be realized. He also expressed his sorrow over the loss of life and offered condolences to the families of the deceased. Importantly, the president called for the suspension of protests to allow for dialogue.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Toga, has firmly declared that the federal government will not tolerate any foreign interference following the violence associated with the protest nationwide, emphasizing the Nigerian government is firm in its stance against external influences that could disrupt the nation's internal affairs. We would like to warn that this next piece contains flash photography.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs says the fake news and misinformation circulating in the social media over the protest in Nigeria has made it necessary to address the diplomatic community. Both Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Information speaks to the efforts and economic policies of President Tinubu as they assure the diplomatic community of government's commitment to democracy and development.
A compressed natural gas initiative to power the transportation economy and bring costs down. This will save the country over 2 trillion naira a month, being used to import premium motor spirits.
We want members of the diplomatic community to understand that critical reform that the administration has embarked upon were likely to bring hardship. But this hardship was only temporary, and as with every good policy, it will take some time to mature. Please show understanding with government's position, and we want to put it out there. Please do not collaborate with arsonists, with people who do not wish this country well.
They assured the diplomats that government investment in healthcare, transportation, housing and youth development will bring a new turn in Nigeria.
It is pertinent to remind us that no nation tolerates foreign interference in its domestic affairs and that of its citizens. Nigeria is not an exception. The government will take appropriate action against any foreign entity residing in Nigeria that is found to have directly or indirectly supported the protesters by whatever means or seeks to interfere in the internal affairs of the country.
Comments from the British High Commissioner and America's ambassador recognized and appreciated government's effort as some sought clarification on the fate of the 7 arrested Polish nationals and those on watch list.
They were picked as a result of security, enforcement and drills, and possibly because of where they were. It is not a targeted operation at Polish citizens, not at all.
The DSS pleaded with the international community to avoid allowing their countries to be used as a launch pad to cause instability in Nigeria.
The 42nd Ordinary Meeting of ECOWAS Defence Chiefs, which ended with the push to find ways of improving regional security. The 3-day meeting discussed security at a time the regional bloc is considering the activation of ECOWAS standby force against terrorism that will counter security challenges.
They believe that the complexity of the security landscape requires the sharing of intelligence across the region. General Mustafa Musa says ECOWAS is making concerted effort to bring Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger back to the regional bloc, worrying that the Saharan countries cannot stand alone in the wake of terrorism, which threatens the stability in the region.
It's been 3 days of a grueling meeting for the ECOWAS Defence chiefs. They discussed a wide range of issues, including political instability, evolving security threats, and the quest for economic prosperity in the sub-region.
You look at our West Africa region over the past 5 years or so, there have been 3 trends that have defined political life in the region. On the one hand, we see expanding insecurity spearheaded by terrorism and violent extremism. On the other hand, there are challenges of governance in our, sub-region. And in between, West Africa is gradually being turned into an arena of great power rivalries and competition.
The absence of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger remains a serious concern to the bloc.
We regret the absence of our colleagues from Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. You can see from the table that they have been invited, their flags are flying, but their seats are empty, to show the entire world that we are not enemies, we are brothers.
The economic bloc is appealing to these member states to have a rethink and come back to the fold. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger withdrew from ECOWAS and formed the Association of Sahel Countries due to political differences, security challenges, and sovereignty concerns. Experts have said that their withdrawal could lead to increased instability in West Africa, as ECOWAS has been a key player in mediating conflict and promoting regional integration. The new alliance may complicate regional dynamics and potentially lead to further divisions.
No one nation can withstand the current challenges we have. We need to work as a team. We're stronger together. So we look forward to when they will restore relationship back to ECOWAS where they belong.
Earlier, the ECOWAS Defence chiefs visited the National Counter-Terrorism Center in the office of the National Security Advisor.
We hope to partner with our brothers in the West African sub-region and the Sahel. They say if your brother's house is on fire, it can also reach yours. So we need to learn from one another.
The 42nd Ordinary Meeting of ECOWAS Chiefs of Defence Staff provided an avenue for member countries to redouble efforts in promoting regional integration. Sifon Asian, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, and joining us to speak more on this is a security and public affairs analyst as well as the convener geopolitics series, Senator Irebu. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, and one of the key issues, at the meeting is addressing the severe security concern on the regional bloc. So tell us, what are the likely things they may begin with what we're seeing in the past few months?
Okay, I think the Chief of Defence Staff have given hints of some of the things, approach they are going to be taking, which I really like the language and the tone, different from what it seems to like in the past. First, the one that is obvious now is this ECOWAS standby force, which they've agreed that they agreed to set up a brigade for counter-terrorism to fight insecurity in the region. But the challenge there, which some of us have raised, is that, okay, if the standby force is for counter-terrorism, if you check across the region, the major countries that have this issue of terrorism are actually these 3 states, apart from the northern part of Nigeria, are actually these 3 core states that have pulled out, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. If you check the current terrorism index report, this region now is the epicenter of terrorism globally. No longer even the Middle East we used to know. meaning that it's a serious security issue. But if this country have pulled out from ECOWAS and you're setting up a brigade or standby force against terrorism, so which country now are you going to deploy it? This is where the question comes in. Apart from Nigeria, Nigeria already have another mechanism, multinational joint task force. They do with Chad, Cameroon, Niger, that's even part of, and then Benin Republic. And Nigeria has its own internal security mechanism that are dealing with the issue. So, but he mentioned that they are going to send 1,200 troops to Sierra Leone that is also facing some security issues there. So, but one of the things, like I said, there's a new approach, because it's true that, yes, even if this country, they might have feel that they are pulled out, but it doesn't stop security. The nature of insecurity these days is transnational. It doesn't recognize whether you are pulled out from ECOWAS or not, because whatever affects those countries also have snowball effect in Nigeria, in other parts of West Africa. So they promise to reach out. They are going to reach out. It doesn't mean that the relationship are completely broken down. So they are still channel of communication. What they did is to temporarily pull out of ECOWAS, of which I'm sure there is ongoing diplomatic, political moves, effort to bring them back to the fold. But from the security and intelligence level, I'm sure there are efforts to ensure that there is collaboration and they reach out.
So you look at these three states, the three countries who pulled on, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. Of course, it was obvious they didn't attend the ECOWAS meeting. Yes. And this, of course, and the CDS also made reference to that their flags are well represented, meaning that there's still a hand of friendship, of course, over to them. But how do you think that we can begin to bring these three countries back into the fold, looking at the political and economic situations that they face? Because there's a possibility that it can, go out of and move into other West African countries. So how do you think that these three can be back into the fold to make things more easier?
It's continuous engagement. Even though they formed this laptop card something, I can't remember, but they form an alliance of the three states in the Sahel. Before, they used to be in what is called G5 Sahel, G5 Sahel, which is countries of the Sahel region to tackle insecurity. But because of the French influence, even US influence and EU support, because of the three countries have kind of expressed reservation against them. So that arrangement is no longer effective. But the point I'm making is that even if they say, okay, they want to form this three alliance, it doesn't stop them from being members of the same, of greater alliance. After all, within the ECOWAS, there are also different blocks. There is the UOMO of the French, and then there are also different, like Nigeria, I mentioned the MJTF. So you can have those arrangements still become still within the member of ECOWAS region. So what I want to say is continuous engagement. Try to let them know that, look, you cannot isolate yourself, because the issue of insecurity and crime is transnational in nature. Even as US and Russia are having, they are still having channel of communication, intelligence-wise, security-wise. I remember there was a time US or Israel gave intelligence to Russia about imminent terrorist attack. Even the latest one that happened, Russia did admit that Americans did give them intelligence about. So it means that even country will consider opposing blocks, still share intelligence, still cooperate in security-wise. But we still see these countries as a family, because even culturally, geopolitically, we are still one family. So like I said, there will still be back channel to continue engaging them and let them see reasons. And I'm sure over time, they will realize that, look, even if they are going to maintain this three-country alliance as they call, nobody is saying that they shouldn't, but their interests are better. Geostrategic interests, economic interests, security interests are better enhanced within the ECOWAS community. So it's continuous engagement, reaching out to them. So I think the issue of threats, I think ECOWAS have decided they have to take another route, which is engagement, diplomatic overtures, reaching out to them.
All right. So, and then, I also want to come from the point of view of, we understand how important it is to have, a bigger bloc like ECOWAS. But where do you think things fell apart for these countries to feel so much disgruntled, to want to leave? And now this has made ECOWAS to probably come a bit alive to their tasks. So when you now talk about setting up modalities for the standby forces, what do you think ECOWAS should do to show them that conviction that maybe this is a better ECOWAS now, which is the reason why you have to come back?
Before they fall apart, most times we look at insecurity. Why I'm talking mostly from the kinetic aspect of it is because we're discussing the meeting of defense chiefs of ECOWAS, which is the kinetic aspect of the security. But most times the problem is that even from the policy makers, we look at security or insecurity from purely kinetic, traditional form of like deploying armed forces and all the. But if you look at the root cause of all this, it stems from the non-kinetic aspect, the issue of governance, this issue of development. If you look at this region, they are within the poorest of the poor. If you look at the Human Development Index, Peace Performance Index, Good Governance Index, they rank among the lowest. Ecological report,